exciting part about being a firefighter is that it's different every single day. I don't know of another job that provides the kind of variety that my job provides. It's working inside, outside, going shopping and making smiley face at little kids while you're shopping, and then next minute you've got a car up on its side and you're breaking the glass out and trying to cut the car out from around the person to get them out and get them a safe transport to the hospital. It's so many different things, so many different kinds of jobs, from medical care to just holding someone's hand sometimes, to obviously going inside of a burning building and putting the fire out. The fact that we need to be fit for duty, physically ready for whatever the job may demand, ready to lift and carry a patient to the back of an ambulance, ready to drag a victim out of a fire or other hazardous environment, and of course mentally ready for all the different things that the job can throw at us. It's solving whatever problem someone has. People call 911 for 1,000 different reasons. One of the big differences I see between being a firefighter and a lot of other jobs is people's absolute worst day is our everyday. Many people may get in an accident at one point in their life, and unfortunately it can be traumatic and life-changing, and for us it's a Tuesday. If any person grieved what was an appropriate amount over the tragedies that we witness, it's more than one person can handle. So as a coping mechanism, as a way to blow off steam, as a way to be prepared for the next emergency that comes, for good or for bad, firefighters tend to be desensitized to seeing some things that can be very disturbing to others. The thing that comes to my mind when I think of challenges for this job, I think of the personal stuff, the at-home stuff. I have responsibilities at home as a husband and as a father, and my family hasn't seen me for a couple of days, and they're not thinking about if I'm mentally or physically tired. They're thinking about, they want me to be present and emotionally available as a dad, and sometimes that's difficult to do.
Rescue 283, sick person, District F83.
There was an incident a few years ago. It started as a domestic incident. There was an ex-husband that had his issues. He had come over to his ex-wife's house with a gun. Fortunately, there was a teenage girl that was able to run for the front door. Her father was shooting at her, trying to shoot her in the back as she was running away. She was able to escape successfully. We're grateful for that. But at that point, he took everyone else in the house hostage. The daughter made it to a friend's house and was able to call 911. Police and fire arrived fairly quickly. While the police were determining the best way to diffuse the situation, to try and get help to any victims that were stuck inside, the perpetrator of this crime started to light the house on fire in different places. Gunshots were heard. At that point, everyone wanted to help the victims, but we also want to help them in the safest possible way for ourselves. Well, now we have a combined scene where the police know there's an active shooter inside. We can see fire starting to come out of the windows. A plan was put together quickly where police officers made entry into the home using shields to protect themselves. They had weapons out for the unfortunate chance that they would have to subdue a threat, but us firefighters were right behind the police officers' shields. we had fire hoses that we were spraying right in between the police officers and over their shields. So we went through the house as a group, shields protecting us from any potential gunfire, firefighters spraying water onto the fire as we encountered fire. Unfortunately, when we got inside, we had found that the perpetrator had shot his ex-wife, shot his own children, shot the current boyfriend, and had ended his own life as well. And it was difficult to walk through that scene, to step over the bodies, to step over the gun that was just used to commit this awful act, and still have to do our job as firefighters and put the fire out. That was a very difficult call. That was about as bad as it gets in terms of the things that emergency workers unfortunately have to witness at times that can affect mental health, that can cause nightmares. There were quite a few emergency workers that had a difficult time processing that needed to go home, to take extra days off, to seek professional counseling, and understandably so. It's difficult to read about something like that on the news. It's even more difficult to have to witness something like that, to have to witness the aftermath, to try to help console those that are upset, that are left behind, and to have to clean up, as it were, after such awful things that our brains just have a difficult time processing. In my role as a critical incident stress manager, I'm able to help reduce the effects of stressful calls on firefighters. The fire service has recognized more and more in recent years that the PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorder that unfortunately too many of our servicemen and women suffer from, also affects emergency workers, such as police and firefighters. So we get everyone together, we ask them if they feel like contributing to please answer questions such as what was their role on the call, what was the most difficult part of the call for them, what did they do after they went off autopilot, as soon as their part of the call was done, if they handed off the patient to another person, what were their thoughts at that point? And these questions prompt discussion, and they also prompt our mental ability to process the call in a healthier way, which may prevent the need for professional mental health down the line. The science behind the critical incident stress management, the mental health, especially as it relates to PTSD, is very interesting. There's a thing called neuroplasticity about how the brain changes. One of the important lines that we give traumatized persons, kind of and on their way out the door, last piece of information to kind of focus on, a little something to maybe help them through, if you will, is that you are a normal person having a completely normal response to a completely abnormal event. The human brain was not designed to see very violent things, very visually upsetting things. It is important for emergency workers to be aware of their mental health. Historically, there has been a culture in the fire department that we have to be this ultra strong, ultra tough, bulletproof, zero emotions person that's able to handle anything. There is an element of being somewhat desensitized to emergencies to allow your brain to think and to make appropriate decisions in the middle of an emergency. But at the same time, fortunately, the fire department culture is shifting to an awareness of the importance of mental health, to an awareness of the fact that firefighters are human, that we can't block everything out, we can't be desensitized to everything, and that at some point we're likely to experience something that can lead to mental health problems. And that it's important to recognize that. It's important to preempt that with critical incident stress management. And it's important that we look for these signs and symptoms in ourselves and amongst our peers so that we can seek appropriate self-care, appropriate professional help when needed, and keep a watch on our fellow crew members, that we can give advice to others. We can be frank. We can say, are you having a hard time dealing with this last call that we went on, with any call, with the stress of the job? Do you need someone to talk to? These kind of, that may be jokingly described as a touchy-feely approach, this kind of thing was not present when I started in emergency services almost 25 years ago. Fortunately for firefighter mental health and for having good relationships off duty, this kind of thing is being recognized, and it is slowly changing for the good. Things that I do to personally help me manage the stress of the job, provide a little self-care, spending time with loved ones, hanging out with my family, going to a kid's activity. I have a lot of hobbies that I like. I like different outdoor things. I enjoy snowboarding. I enjoy target shooting. I love to just take my dog, walk her to the park, throw a tennis ball, and walk her back. Everyone has their hobbies, their routine, their loved ones that they talk to, the friends that they vent to. All that's important, not just for a job as an emergency worker. I think everybody needs that.